Imagine looking up into the night sky. Not at a blazing giant star. Not at a terrifying black hole. But at something much smaller. A tiny, silent, glowing white sphere. It looks peaceful, almost beautiful. You could mistake it for an ordinary star. But appearances can be dangerously deceptive. Because that tiny point of light is a white dwarf. The dead heart of a once mighty star. A stellar corpse that has exhausted its fuel, collapsed under its own gravity, and become one of the densest objects in the entire universe. Now imagine something impossible. Earth is no longer orbiting the sun. Instead, our planet begins drifting toward that silent white star. At first, nothing seems wrong. There are no giant explosions. No roaring flames. No dramatic shockwaves racing through space. Just silence. The white dwarf doesn't hunt us. It doesn't grow larger. It simply waits while gravity quietly does the rest. Astronomers are the first to notice. Powerful telescopes detect an unexpected change in Earth's orbit. The numbers don't make sense. Every calculation points to the same terrifying conclusion. Earth is accelerating, not because our engines failed, not because another planet struck us, but because an invisible gravitational force is pulling us toward a white dwarf nearly 40 light-years away. Within hours, every observatory confirms it. Humanity has entered an unstoppable trajectory. There is no turning back. Panic spreads across the planet. Governments call emergency meetings. Space agencies begin proposing impossible rescue missions. People ask the same question. What exactly is a white dwarf? The answer is almost unbelievable. A typical white dwarf is only about the size of Earth. Yet it contains nearly the same mass as our Sun. Imagine squeezing an object weighing 330,000 Earths into a sphere no larger than our own planet. Its gravity becomes almost unimaginable. Just 1 teaspoon of material from its surface would weigh several tons. Standing near one would be impossible. Its gravity would crush almost anything. Yet from millions of kilometers away, it appears calm, cold, silent. As Earth slowly approaches, the white dwarf doesn't seem threatening at all. It doesn't glow with violent solar flares. It doesn't fire deadly jets into space. It simply shines with a quiet blue-white light, like a dying ember floating in the darkness. But that's exactly what makes it so terrifying. Because unlike a supernova, or a black hole, this apocalypse doesn't begin with an explosion. It begins with something much more dangerous. A force you cannot see. A force you cannot hear. Gravity. Day after day, Earth's speed continues increasing. At first, the change is almost impossible to notice. Then, astronomers discover something that sends chills through every control room on Earth. The moon is no longer following its normal orbit. Its path has begun to drift. The tides become unpredictable. Some coastlines experience record low oceans. Others are struck by massive tidal surges. Entire ecosystems begin changing before anyone understands why. The white dwarf hasn't even come close yet. And already, its gravity is reaching across millions of kilometers, quietly rewriting the future of our planet. Humanity suddenly realizes, the end of Earth won't arrive with fire. It will arrive, in complete silence. The white dwarf is still millions of kilometers away. Yet, Earth is already changing, not because of heat, not because of radiation, but because of something far more powerful. Gravity. Unlike the gentle pull of our sun, the gravity of a white dwarf increases dramatically as you get closer. Every kilometer matters. Every hour, Earth falls a little faster. Astronomers calculate that our planet has now reached speeds never seen before in its history. The white dwarf grows brighter in the sky each night. At first, it looks like an unusually bright star. Then, it becomes brighter than Venus. Soon, it's visible even during the day. A brilliant white jewel hanging above the horizon. Beautiful, silent, waiting. People gather outside to watch it. Some take photographs. Others pray. Children ask why the new star keeps getting bigger. No one has the heart to tell them the truth. Then, the oceans begin behaving strangely. Tides no longer follow the moon alone. The white dwarf's immense gravity starts pulling on Earth's water. Coastlines around the world experience impossible flooding. Some cities wake to find the sea hundreds of meters farther inland. Others watch the ocean suddenly retreat, exposing vast stretches of the seafloor. Hours later, towering walls of water return. Mega tsunamis. Not caused by earthquakes, not caused by volcanoes, but by a dead star pulling at our oceans from millions of kilometers away. Entire coastlines disappear beneath waves taller than skyscrapers. Ports vanish. Islands are erased. Yet this is only the beginning. Because gravity doesn't just pull water. It pulls Earth itself. The side of the planet facing the White Dwarf begins stretching ever so slightly. The opposite side stretches too. At first, the change is only a few centimeters. Impossible for anyone to notice. Then, it becomes meters. Satellites detect something unbelievable. Earth is no longer perfectly round. It is slowly becoming an oval. The planet is being stretched like soft clay. Geologists sound the alarm. The crust is under unimaginable stress. Deep beneath our feet, tectonic plates begin grinding harder than ever before. Earthquakes erupt across every continent. Volcanoes awaken one after another. Mountains split open. Rivers change direction. Entire landscapes are rewritten in weeks. The night sky glows red from thousands of volcanic eruptions. Ash fills the atmosphere. Sunsets become blood-colored. Still, the White Dwarf hasn't touched us. It hasn't fired a beam. It hasn't exploded. It is destroying Earth, simply by existing. Then scientists calculate something even more terrifying. There is an invisible boundary around every massive object. A point where gravity becomes so different across an object, that it tears it apart molecule by molecule. Astronomers call it the Roche limit. Cross that boundary, and no planet can remain whole. Not Earth. Not Mars. Not even giant planets like Jupiter. Every computer simulation gives the same result. Earth is heading directly toward it. There is no escape. No technology humanity possesses can stop a planet. The countdown begins, not to impact, but to disintegration. Because long before Earth ever reaches the surface of the White Dwarf, our world will already have been pulled apart into billions of fragments. And when that moment arrives, the apocalypse won't sound like an explosion. It will sound like the universe quietly pulling Earth apart, one atom at a time. The countdown reaches zero, not the countdown to impact. The countdown to the Roche limit. The invisible line where gravity no longer pulls equally. Instead, it pulls one side of Earth much harder than the other. The difference is catastrophic. From space, our planet begins changing shape. It is no longer a perfect sphere. It stretches. Slowly at first, then faster, like a drop of water being pulled from both ends. No one on Earth can see it directly, but everyone can feel it. The ground never stops shaking. Earthquakes merge into one endless vibration. Entire mountain ranges collapse. Cities split apart as enormous cracks race across the continents. Bridges twist like paper. Skyscrapers lean before crumbling into clouds of dust. The oceans become impossible to recognize. Water is no longer obeying coastlines. It is obeying gravity. The side of Earth facing the White Dwarf develops an enormous tidal bulge thousands of kilometers wide. The opposite side rises too. The seas begin climbing into space. Imagine watching the Pacific Ocean, not crash onto land, but rise upward toward the stars. Gigantic rivers of water stretch away from Earth like glowing blue ribbons. Within hours, most oceans are no longer oceans. They're becoming part of an immense stream of debris spiraling toward the White Dwarf. Then, the atmosphere follows. The air itself begins escaping. Hurricane-force winds race across the globe. Then those winds become thousands of kilometers per hour. People don't merely struggle to breathe. The atmosphere is literally being peeled away from the planet. Clouds stretch into long white trails disappearing into space. Aircraft fall from the sky. Satellites lose control. Communication ends forever. The blue sky fades, revealing the blackness of space even during daylight. Then comes the moment scientists feared most. The crust can no longer withstand the stress. It breaks. Not in one place. Everywhere. Continents fracture into enormous slabs. North America tears apart. Africa splits along ancient fault lines. Asia buckles under unimaginable pressure. Entire countries disappear beneath oceans that no longer stay on Earth. Deep below the surface, Earth's mantle erupts. Molten rock bursts through cracks thousands of kilometers long. The planet begins glowing, not because it's burning, but because its inside is finally exposed. From space, Earth resembles a cracked ember suspended in darkness. Then, gravity wins. The first giant fragment breaks free. It drifts toward the White Dwarf. Seconds later, another continent-sized piece follows. Then another. Soon, our entire planet becomes an enormous river of shattered worlds. Mountains, oceans, cities, forests, everything humanity has ever built, joins the same glowing stream. Astronomers watching from distant probes witness something breathtaking. The debris doesn't fall randomly. It forms a brilliant ring around the White Dwarf. A luminous halo made from the remains of Earth itself. For millions of kilometers, our planet becomes a shining river of molten rock, metal, ice, and dust. Iron from Earth's core glows like liquid fire. Fragments of skyscrapers orbit beside pieces of the moon. Nothing remains intact. Nothing, except one final mystery. The White Dwarf suddenly begins shining brighter. Much brighter. Far brighter than its normal quiet glow. Scientists realize why. Earth isn't simply falling into the star. The White Dwarf is feeding. Every fragment crashing onto its surface releases unimaginable amounts of gravitational energy. The dead star is coming back to life. And if it absorbs enough material, something even more terrifying may happen. The silent apocalypse could end with an explosion powerful enough to be seen across the galaxy. The White Dwarf grows brighter. Not because it has awakened, but because Earth is becoming its fuel. For billions of years, this stellar corpse drifted silently through space. Cold, dense, nearly forgotten by the universe. Now, the remains of an entire planet are crashing onto its surface. Every second, billions of tons of molten rock, iron, water, and dust spiral downward at incredible speeds. The moment they strike, they don't explode outward. They vanish. Gravity crushes every fragment into an unimaginably thin layer. The energy released is beyond comprehension. The White Dwarf begins glowing with a brilliant blue-white light. From nearby star systems, it suddenly appears as though a dead star has been reborn. But it isn't alive. It's simply consuming the last remains of Earth. The ring of debris circling the White Dwarf becomes more spectacular than Saturn's rings. Millions of glowing fragments orbit in perfect spirals. Entire mountain ranges, oceans turn to vapor, pieces of Earth's iron core, all circle together in a silent cosmic graveyard. If anyone from another civilization were watching from afar, they might think they were witnessing the birth of a beautiful planetary ring. They would never know that every shimmering particle was once part of a living world. Then, scientists studying the final simulations make one last discovery. Earth wasn't massive enough to destroy the White Dwarf. But what if it had been just a little heavier? White dwarfs have limits. A very precise one. Astronomers call it the Chandrasekhar limit. If a white dwarf gathers too much mass, its gravity becomes unstoppable. The entire star collapses in an instant. Then, it detonates. A Type Ia supernova, one of the brightest explosions in the universe. For a few terrifying moments, scientists wonder if Earth's mass could trigger that fate. They rerun the calculations, again and again. Finally, the answer appears. No, Earth alone isn't enough. The White Dwarf survives. Humanity's home is gone, but the star remains. Then silence returns. No continents, no oceans, no moon, no blue planet orbiting through space. Only a brilliant white dwarf, surrounded by a thin ring of glowing debris. The solar system has ceased to exist. Mars drifts alone into the darkness. Jupiter continues orbiting the empty void where the sun once ruled. The constellations slowly change forever. There is no Earth left to witness them. Millions of years pass. The debris ring grows thinner. Tiny fragments collide, breaking into dust. Some eventually fall onto the white dwarf. Others are flung into interstellar space, beginning journeys that may last billions of years. Perhaps, one microscopic grain from Earth's crust will someday become part of another planet. Perhaps, atoms that once formed mountains, oceans, or even human beings, will help build an entirely new world around another star. Because in the universe, nothing truly disappears. It only changes form, and maybe, that's the strangest ending of all. Earth doesn't end with fire. It doesn't end with darkness. It doesn't even end with a scream. It ends in complete silence, becoming nothing more than a faint ring of light, circling the cold heart of a dead star. A quiet reminder that even worlds can become stardust.